It's News 360 coming to you live from the News Hub here at Desawe Kanda. I am Portia Gabo.
And I am Martin Asiedu Date. Let's bring you the headlines for the next 1 hour.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Coming up tonight, retired security officials Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo and Brigadier Nunu Mensah urge government to intensify coordinated crackdown on Galamsey or face severe national consequences.
And also coming up tonight, minority in parliament blames energy minister's policy direction and neglect of energy sector recovery program of causing nationwide power outages.
And later in the bulletin, passengers complain about high 10 cedi Kojo Krom Sekandi Takrady railway fare, calling it excessive compared to trotro transport costs.
Later in business news, consumers get relief at the local pumps as fuel prices dip for May amid new price floors by the NPA.
On the international front, Gulf leaders meet in Saudi Arabia over US-Israel-Iran war and the crisis it has brought and discussing Hormuz reopening.
We have details of all these stories and many more coming up in the next 1 hour. Do stay with us.
We're starting from the never-ending concerns about Galamsey and illegal mining now. Some retired security officials, Captain retired Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo and Brigadier General Joseph Nunu Mensah are calling on government to intensify the crackdown on illegal mining. Speaking at a town hall meeting to reflect their past for the future, they explained that without a coordinated and forceful approach, the long-term cost of illegal mining, Galamsey, to the country could be severe.
Illegal mining continues to threaten Ghana's forests, rivers and farmland. Various governments have adopted different approaches to the fight, but to no avail. The current government National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, was established in 2025 to combat illegal small-scale mining in Galamsey. Speaking at a town hall meeting, a former Chief of Defence Staff of the Ghana Armed Forces, Brigadier Joseph Nunu Mensah, and statesman Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo both called for a coordinated and forceful approach in dealing with the menace of illegal mining.
We are not dealing with the problem. We are tinkering with the problem. We are wiping the problem up. We are not dealing with it. When people are threatening your life, your livelihood, we are all at risk. We are at the point of being killed. Declare martial law. Suspend the laws of the country and give them special power to deal with the problem. It will be dealt with. We are not doing that.
The way I see what is happening, we have people in the various reserve forests with equipments that will not be easy to control. And they are destroying our natural resources because of few dollars or money that they will get. And government cannot deny it, that no other group apart from the military can solve this problem. Because the military, when given order, they will carry it out to the latter.
The two former military officers also pushed for strategic leadership at the Defense Ministry to strengthen the national response.
So, the military, they respect maturity and rank. So you don't send a young man to go there as a defense minister. In fact, it has never happened in our history. Right from Nkrumah's time, those who have been defense ministers are matured people. When I say matured, somebody 40 plus, 50 going. They are mature people because they will not take decisions just roughly like that. You have to be careful with that ministry.
Whether you have a defense minister, you can run the government. You can do it. I know you can do it. When American Chief of Staff, when the Riga was shot, One of these American generals, who was the White House chief of staff. They asked who was in charge. I'm in charge. He took over power. Don't say that and do nothing. That's what the army is there for.
President Mahama, speaking at the Jubilee House last year, said the substantive defense minister will be announced after the Christmas holidays. It's been almost 5 months and the announcement is yet to be made.
Now to the energy sector, and artisans and small business owners in Achimit Tafo say persistent power outages are affecting productivity and reducing income. Welders in particular say delays in electricity supply are slowing down their work and causing them to lose clients.
The journey to the electricity crisis in the Eastern region. On April 13, the Eastern Regional Manager of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Engineer Emmanuel Apo, told journalists that the outages in Koforidua and Tafo were due to a technical fault based on explanations from Gridco.
Say doom na so 50 times no say ba ne say intimi enja ne sa say bro so a ebema system ni nyina akọ off.
According to Gridco's area manager, the domestic power outage was due to frequency decay. If the on and off transition power fails to meet its required target, Gridco is forced to shut down some phases.
And niato sintia frequency ninja no na omo system bi e friend AFLS na edum load ko a ye free so betimi stabilize the system no.
The situation deteriorated further after a fire outbreak at Gridco's Akosomo substation, which reportedly led to a loss of about 1,000 megawatts of power. Energy Minister Dr. John Abdullah Jinapo has since assured the public that efforts are underway to stabilize electricity supply. Despite these assurances, residents say the lack of consistent communication on load schedules continues to disrupt their businesses. Although the ECG issued a load management timetable on April 27, some communities still experienced unannounced outages. Welder Kofi Tete and his assistant reported to work since morning, but had no light to work with. Power outage situation at Achimit Tafo is getting worse. As I speak to you, we don't have electricity to work with. All our machines uses electricity supply. Despite these assurances, residents say the lack of consistent communication on load schedules continues to disrupt their business. I came all the way from Kukwentumi to come and learn skills here. I used to be in the Okada business, but I stopped to here. This morning, we don't have electricity here. In a separate development, ECG has announced new outages affecting part of the Kro Enclave, attributing the problem to damaged marine cables caused by prospecting activities for the new bridge on the Afram River.
Small and medium-scale businesses in the Volta region are bearing the brunt of the ongoing electricity crisis. Business owners in an interaction with TV3's Faisal Abdul Idris in Ho say that the intermittent power outages cut deep, affecting sales and income.
Electricity supply across the Volta region has become increasingly unstable in the last few days as the country struggles through what appears to be another phase of power supply crisis. Power goes off and returns intermittently, presenting an unpredictable situation for businesses, particularly those that rely solely on electricity for their operations. The impact, according to business owners in the Volta regional capital, cuts deep, affecting operations and income.
I think it's affecting the AC more because we've changed AC light 2 times already. It affects the lighting too at the shop. Sometimes the faces can just go off. Sometimes it goes off like for 4 hours, 3 hours. Sometimes so we close. The next day when we come, so there won't be lights. Sometimes we use gen, and most of the time so the gen is faulty, so we off it. And sometimes so we can just tell the client to come back the next day. It's not every client that would like to return the same day, so it's really affecting us.
Due to the low current, when you are charging fridge, the motor can just damage like that, and the air conditions too, they don't work. It is affecting our work. It is delaying our work too. We used to sell motor to fridge motors, air conditioning motors. We used to sell to our customers, but due to the low current, when they fix it, it damaged their distance, so we are no more selling it again.
The situation is widespread as households and businesses outside Ho report same. At a recent meeting with the Volta Regional Minister, the acting managing director of ECG explained that the region's transmission with a capacity of 69 kV requires an upgrade to be able to meet the demand as part of plans to address the erratic power supply.
The network that we have here, especially the transmission grid in the Volta region, was built in the 80s. So the load or demand in the region has grown beyond the network. The transmission voltage here in Ghana, in the Volta region, is 69, when in the rest of the country is 161. And the higher the voltage, the better the quality of the what we can serve the region. So what is happening requires much more work, a lot of work, because it requires an upgrade. It requires that we build new transmission line from Asiepa all the way to Kejabi. Last year, the government started working.
Meanwhile, the minority in parliament says the energy minister must face scrutiny just like the GridCo chief executive officer, indicating that John Jinapur's policy direction and government neglect of the energy sector recovery program have caused the recent power outages. The deputy ranking on the energy committee is demanding payment of some $500 million owed to independent power producers and a comprehensive briefing on plans to resolve the crisis.
Communities were living in darkness, not for hours, but for days. Industries were hemorrhaging losses. Cold stores were warming. Hospitals were straining on generators. That was the reality of Ghana's power sector before any incident at Akosombo. The problems of the sector is not only technical, it is financial. The Ministry of Finance announced last year that it had cleared all the debts to IPPs. The government also credited itself with financial improvement at ECG. However, the data available to us is that government owes IPPs over $500 million and over $200 million to companies that supplied fuel for power generation. We call on the government to come clear on the financial situation in the sector, particularly after the imposition of the Dumso levy. The suspension of officials must not serve as a press release substitute for a genuine reckoning with the policy failures that has brought Ghana's energy sector to its knees. If any official is to face scrutiny, let that same scrutiny fall on the energy minister and on this president. For it is their ministry, their policy choices, and their disdain for the ESRP that created the conditions under which critical national infrastructure has been allowed to deteriorate. The GridCo CEO did not delay the ESRP. The ECG Ashanti management did not accumulate or refuse to clear the IPP payment backlog. The government did. The government must immediately cease describing a nationwide power crisis as a planned maintenance program or a series of routine transformer upgrades. Ghanaians are not fooled. The lights are out because this government failed to implement the recovery plan it inherited, not because of engineering schedules. Implement the ESRP without further delay. The Minister of Energy must appear before the full House and brief members on the current state of Ghana's generation and transmission capacity, the financial obligations outstanding to IPPs, the status of the ESRP, and this government's credible, costed, and time-bound plan to end Dumso.
Let's stay on this subject a while longer. Richmond Roxon is spokesperson and head of communications, Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. Richmond, good evening. Thank you for joining us on TV3.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
I'm sure you must have heard that not just the minority, but a section of the Ghanaian populace say that the blame on the transformer replacements and the fire in Akosombo is not entirely the reason why we are having this current power crisis. And the minority specifically is saying that this current government stopped the implementation of the energy recovery program. What would your response be to that?
Thank you for the opportunity. This government has been as transparent as it can be. It's a government that will only put out facts and not fiction or false information. We've been clear on what the data on our generation capacity is. We know what our installed capacity is. We know what our dependable capacity is. As we speak, it is information that everybody can track. We don't have any issue with generation. Any purported research that says that there's a deficit in generation is false. It is a very misleading report. And it's important that we all take time to understand what the supply and what the dispatch position is and what goes into determining or what goes into dispatching power plant. And so it is not the case that the reason is not the challenges we have in the distribution center. That is the reason. Our generation is fine, our transmission is fine, but we are dealing with the challenges that we have with distribution. And it is the president also, the minister has also mentioned as well that as we speak as a country, we have obsolete materials. We have overloaded transformers all across. If you do the test, it will show. The report, ECG's own report shows that in 2023, they lost almost 1,000 transformers that were not replaced. In 2024, there was an additional 800 transformers that were damaged that were not replaced. And so that is what this government is going to make an investment, huge investment that has never been done in the history of the Republic. That you find one government that is investing over 3,000 transformers at a time. And for areas that had those challenges, they would agree and also confirm that since we made those upgrades or since transformers, especially the power and distribution transformers, they've seen significantly.
Right. Richmond, I hear you say that of the three systems we have, generation, distribution, and transmission, the main problem we have at the moment is transmission. Could that be the reason?
No, it's
distribution rather.
Distribution,
right, okay.
Yes. Distribution.
So are you able to help us understand why then the GridCo CEO has been asked to step aside? Is it related to the current challenge we have?
No, so the GridCo CEO was asked to step aside because of the inferno or the fire incident at our Kosovo substation. GridCo is the institution that directly manages that, and in the wisdom of the minister and government, once we have an investigation being conducted, it is only fair that anybody who can influence the process directly or anybody with undue influence will be able to step aside and allow the investigation committee to do its work.
Right.
Once we get the report, we'll be guided on the decisions and the recommendations by the committee. The committee is a very experienced committee chaired by Engineer Muna. And so we'll expect the report in 2 weeks, and then the government will take action based on the report.
Well, we'll have to leave it here for now, but certainly we'll be engaging you going forward. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Still on the energy sector, the Public Utility Workers Union, PUWS, says more than 8,000 workers of the Electricity Company of Ghana are living in fear. Their concern follows accusations from some political actors who claim that ECG staff are deliberately sabotaging the nation's power supply. General Secretary of PUWS, Timothy Nyame, has warned that the issue may create industrial disharmony in the energy sector.
The Public Utilities Workers Union, PUWS, says if accusations and threats against Electricity Company of Ghana workers are not halted, they risk destabilizing industrial harmony across the entire energy sector. This comes at a time when many Ghanaians are already enduring prolonged power outages. For weeks now, communities across the country have been plunged into darkness, disrupting businesses, education, and daily life. The Minister of Energy and Green Transition explains that the outages are partly due to ongoing upgrades by the Electricity Company of Ghana. However, the situation worsened last week after a fire damaged a grid-core transmission substation that evacuates electricity generated from the Akosombo Dam, deepening the crisis. In response, the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, Dr. John Jinapo, has taken decisive action, directing the head of Gridco to step aside to allow for investigations into the incident. At the same time, the minister has instructed ECG to provide regular updates on power outages, as pressure mounts from citizens demanding transparency and predictability.
I've directed ECG provide periodic updates on regional basis, areas that will be affected every 12 hours, because it's a very short duration. Like I said, we are looking at this week, so you can't do a weekly schedule.
Meanwhile, the General Secretary of the Public Utilities Workers Union, Timothy Nyame, is calling for calm. He's urging those making allegations against ECG workers to stop, warning that such claims are putting lives at risk and threatening peace within the sector.
Commentators are making those comments, and you see a vehicle that is on duty. When they attack it, when they vandalize it, when they attempt to harm our members, and you know one life is so dear. So when it comes to this industrial relation, you know one life is so dear. These are the people who have sacrificed. They have applied to work, and you are giving them the work, and they are doing their work. When they are not working, you sanction them. Is that not what they do? They sanction them continuously when they don't work. But when they are working, and then there's a record, there's evidence that, oh, this one is not to them, and you blame them, we have cause of. So we are calling on them to refrain from doing that, and so that they don't put them in the public ridicule.
POO is also backing growing public calls for a clear and reliable load shedding timetable, so that households and businesses can better plan in the face of ongoing outages.
If they know that this particular area will go off and they are going to do, what we know is that the damage at VRA Akosombo has affected a power supply, and then but they are trying. This is what we have been briefed. They are trying their possible best to make sure that power is sustained.
For now, the nation waits, hoping for answers, stability, and above all, a return to normalcy.
Away from power to transport, and passengers using the Kojo-Krom via Sekondi Takoradi suburban railway service are complaining about the high cost of boarding passes. They say that 10 Ghana cedi fee per passenger per trip is excessive compared to trotro fares. Abraham Mensah reports from the Takoradi terminal of the Ghana Railway Company Limited.
Some years back, tickets sold for 4 Ghana cedis for adults and 3 Ghana cedis for students per trip. Today, the rates are higher, 10 Ghana cedis for adults and 5 Ghana cedis for students. Compared to trotro fares, a passenger pays only 6 Ghana cedis for a trip from Kojo-Krom to Takoradi Central Business District. The introduction of the cashless tap-and-go payment platform has added extra costs for passengers. These new conditions are discouraging some from using the rail service. They are calling on the Ghana Railway Company Limited to cut ticket prices and make them more affordable.
The new prices more or less very high as compared to the previous prices the passengers were paying. So in as much as we need the train, we also think that the price will be lowered so that it will attract more people to come.
Oh, the price is too high. It should revert to the old fare, else we go back to car. Because if we have a town, by either straight, no traffic, at least the test list is too much. Students will be coming on board, they can't afford it. So they should come back again. The test list in and out is too much. Even I thought you were taking 5 cedis, so as I'm standing, I'm having 5 cedis in hand, thinking that I'm coming to enjoy transport. It's too much.
This is said I want to look at Kamahen, even if we 7 cedis in Pa, or ye in and out 14. Now, you may about Funtia said I want to open the man.
At the reactivation of the suburban rail service on April 24 this year, the CEO of the Ghana Railway Development Authority, Dr. Frederick Apo, disclosed that passengers arriving at the Takoradi terminal would be shuttled free of charge to the Central Business District. However, this promise has yet to be honored. Sources say management is likely to review ticket prices given these circumstances. Abraham Mensah, TV3 News, Takrady.
In more news tonight, it is an industry powered by women, rooted in tradition, and now driving global demand. The shea sector in Ghana has taken center stage in Accra at the 2026 Shea Conference, and the spotlight is not on trade and exports, but also on how to sustain the thousands of women whose livelihoods depend on it. Evelyn Tinma reports.
As the sun rises over northern Ghana, a quiet industry comes to life, one that supports millions across West Africa. For generations, women have harvested and processed shea, turning it into butter that sustains families and communities. That local effort is now part of a global conversation in Accra, where the 2026 Shea Conference brought together producers, policymakers and exporters from across Africa and Europe. The goal is to strengthen an industry that connects rural Ghana to global markets. Speakers at the conference said the opportunity is huge and called for cooperation, private sector investment and government support in order to sustain the sector. But there are challenges, from climate change and pricing gaps to limited access to modern processing tools.
Nigeria is proud to be the world's largest producer of shea nuts. Nigeria just captures about 1% in terms of its global market share. This is the gap that Nigeria seeks to close.
The Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku Ajiman, at the conference said that for Ghana and Africa to fully benefit, there must be a conscious effort to stop exporting its raw materials and focus on value addition.
Transforming kernels into butter and then into ingredients for food and cosmetics sectors enables our countries to add more value, generate more jobs, and strengthen rural economies. This is where Ghana's reset agenda becomes particularly relevant.
For many here, the conversation goes beyond trade. It's about fairness, ensuring the women at the base of the value chain share in the industry's growth. Shea remains more than just a commodity, and stakeholders want more to be done in the sector to continue to improve livelihoods across homes. Evelyn Tinkma, TV3 News, Accra.
Still watching News 360 on TV3. We have business, sports and entertainment coming up. Do stay with us.
I love President Charcoal.
The business segment is brought to you by MTN. Touch concentrated perfume.
Good evening. It's time for Business on News 360. I am Menu Afol. In a significant turn for Ghanaian consumers, the National Petroleum Authority has announced a reduction in fuel price floors effective May 1, 2026. Now, this latest adjustment, part of the authority's bi-monthly pricing review, signals a much-needed easing of the financial pressure that has gripped the transport and manufacturing sectors over the past month.
Under the new rates, petrol has been set at 13 cedis 25 pesos per litre, while diesel now stands at 14 cedis 30 pesos per litre. The most notable change comes in the cost of diesel, which is set to drop by 1 cedi and 80 pesos per litre, bringing the floor price down to 14 cedis and 30 pesos. Petrol will see a more marginal reduction of 2 pesos, settling at 13 cedis and 25 pesos per litre. The shift reflects a cooling in global crude prices and a stabilization of the cedi after a volatile period in the early April, when geopolitical tensions in the Middle East pushed Brent crude above the $100 mark. While these new rates represent a significant recovery from the April peak, where diesel hit 17 cedis and 10 pesos, prices still remain slightly above the levels recorded during the first quarter of the year. Government decision to intervene by removing selected margins from the price build-up has played a crucial role in this downward trend, though uncertainty remains regarding whether these subsidies will be maintained through the upcoming mid-year fiscal review. The National Petroleum Authority, NPA, has reminded all oil marketing companies, AMCs, that while these floors are mandatory, individual stations may add their own margins, leading to slight variations in actual pump prices across the country.
Meanwhile, in a move that has sent shockwaves through global energy markets, the United Arab Emirates announced Tuesday that it will withdraw from OPEC and the wider OPEC Plus alliance effective May 1, 2026. The decision marks a historic break from the oil cartel and deals a significant blow to the group's de facto leader, Saudi Arabia, during one of the most volatile periods in energy history.
The withdrawal comes amid the devastating economic and logistical fallout of the ongoing war between the United States, Israel, and Iran. Since the conflict began in late February, the near-total closure of the Strait of Hormuz has stranded millions of barrels of oil and triggered what the International Energy Agency calls the largest supply disruption in history. The UAE is the third largest producer within OPEC, and its departure leaves the group with just 11 core members. While the fiscal increase in oil supply may be limited in the short term due to the impassable Strait of Hormuz, the political weakening of the cartel is profound. Outside of the OPEC constraint, the UAE could eventually add up to 1 million barrels per day to global markets once regional hostilities subside. This is expected to have a profound downward impact on global oil prices once regional hostilities subside.
Away from that, chartered economist and CEO of Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, has issued a cautionary note regarding calls for tax reduction, arguing that such measures could undermine the fiscal discipline that has stabilized Ghana's economy. Speaking at the UPSA Dean's lecture series themed Exchange Rate Sustainability and Resource-Backed Stabilization in Ghana, Economic Reforms, Policy Trade-offs and the Role of Gold Board, Jackson highlighted significant improvements in key indicators.
Who said, remove the tax, oh, remove the tax, oh, remove the tax, oh.
Joe Jackson attributed current economic gains directly to fiscal and monetary policies. He warned that reducing taxes effectively shrinks government's purse, which could create a dangerous imbalance if not accompanied by a corresponding decrease in public spending.
Discipline that we don't borrow what we don't need. Discipline that we only spend what we have. As soon as you say remove tax, you are just saying that the government's pot of money should be reduced. Now, does that mean that we are also prepared to accept the government spending less? If not, then we should be careful. Because you can't keep saying we need more roads, we need this, we need that, we need this, we need bigger salaries, we need research allowances, we need this. And yet at the same time say take off, take off, take off. Every time you take off something, it's that pot that belongs to the government purse that's being reduced.
The financial analyst maintains that maintaining the government's fiscal strength is critical to ensuring the current economic trends continue in the right direction.
I want to encourage the leaders of our economy, of course, Honorable Dr. Kasela Tuforsen and Dr. Esiama, to stay firm and keep the discipline that they've shown. And I pray that His Excellency President Mahama will support them in that discipline so that we'll stay the course. Things have improved, but we are not out of the woods yet, and we should keep the discipline.
Let's now take a look at what's happening on the forex and commodities markets.
Sports segment is brought to you by
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. Daniel Gaspar has been appointed as the goalkeepers trainer for Ghana's national team ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. His club, Hartford Athletic, has confirmed the experienced Portuguese goalkeeping specialist joins the Black Stars technical team under newly appointed head coach Carlos Queiroz, extending a professional relationship between the two that spans more than 3 decades. Gaspar and Queiroz have worked together in various capacities since 1992, forming one of the most enduring coaching partnerships in international football. Their collaboration has taken them across club and national team assignments over the years. A highly respected figure in goalkeeping development, Gaspar's coaching career includes multiple spells with the Portuguese national team set up in the early 90s and again between 2009 and 2010 when he worked with several youth sides. Let's do some more here where the Ivory Coast football team are among the top 10 African representatives set to feature at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Now, this will mark their 4th appearance at the tournament, although they are yet to progress beyond the group stages in their previous 3 outings. With MS Faye leading the team after winning the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, the Elephants are determined to make history for the first time at the World Cup finals.
The Ivory Coast national football team, popularly known as the Elephants, remain one of Africa's most formidable sides, having produced some of the finest talents in world football. Didier Zokora holds the record for the most appearances with 123 caps, while legendary striker Didier Drogba is the country's all-time top scorer with 65 goals in 105 matches. Ivory Coast have won the Africa Cup of Nations 3 times, in 1992, 2015, and 2023, and have qualified for the FIFA World Cup on 4 occasions: 2006, 2010, 2014, and 2026. Their maiden World Cup qualification came in 2005 ahead of the 2006 tournament. Drawn in a tough group alongside Argentina, the Netherlands, and Serbia and Montenegro, the Elephants lost to the South Americans and the Dutch, but secured their first ever World Cup win with a 3-2 victory over Serbia and Montenegro. Drogba also etched his name in history by scoring Ivory Coast's first ever goal at the tournament. At the 2010 World Cup, the first hosted on African soil, the Elephants were again handed a difficult group featuring 5-time champions Brazil, Portugal, and North Korea. A goalless draw with Portugal and a 3-1 defeat to Brazil left them needing a big result. Although they beat North Korea 3-0, Portugal's 7-0 thrashing of the same side and draw with Brazil meant Ivory Coast exited at the group stage once again. In 2014, they were drawn into Group C alongside Colombia, Greece, and Japan.
Well, before we go, just updates on the UEFA Champions League. The semi-final between PSG and Bayern is currently ongoing. It's 2-2 in that one, but PSG have been awarded a penalty right before the halftime whistle. You can get updates on 3 Sports GH on social media.
GTP, Lifestyled, and Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil, powered by 3 Entertainment.
Good evening and welcome to the Entertainment News segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, highlife music continues to prove its timeless appeal as industry players intensify efforts to preserve the genre while promoting it on the global stage. Now, President of the Musicians Union of Ghana, Mr. Simons, believes that providing the right incentives will go a long way in preserving the genre. Highlife music took center stage at Plus 233 Jazz Bar and Grill, where the Musicians Union of Ghana hosted the third authentic Highlife night. The event drew music lovers, industry players, and cultural figures for a vibrant night of performances. It also doubled as a major announcement platform, unveiling initiatives such as the Highlife to the World Tour, Highlife at 100, and a fundraising drive to support aging musicians.
We declare the 100th anniversary celebration duly launched. Thank you.
Highlife lends and fan favorites, including Ben Bracco, Kwabena, Obrafour, and Pat Thomas, lit up the stage with electrifying performances that kept patrons on their feet.
Highlife is 100 years this year, and we want to market Highlife to the whole nation again, and then to the world. So there is going to be a national Highlife festival across the regions, and then we're going to have a world tour with Highlife music.
For many Highlife musicians, it is essential to preserve the spirit of the genre, ensuring its enduring legacy while expanding its global reach.
What we have to do is continue what we're doing. Let's sell it everywhere. As Ghanaians abroad, we should cherish what we have. Let's push it. Everybody, all hands on deck, and this is how it is. You don't need to slack.
Go everywhere in the country. Every evening, every weekend, you see live band in almost every spot. And that's celebration enough. You know what I mean? So, it's our music is going to be with us forever and ever. I know that for sure. Ever since I started doing Highlife music 20 years ago, I had a narrative. Highlife is dying, Highlife is dying. Here we are 20 years on. So, that's a narrative. Highlife is alive and it's forever.
The night reaffirmed Highlife's enduring influence and its growing appeal beyond Ghana's borders.
Give more incentives to people who do Highlife. We need grants, we need support, we even need to travel with the ministers wherever they go and provide Ghanaian Highlife as an entertainment and tell people this is our music, Highlife music.
Well, that's it for the Entertainment News segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko. Thank you so much, Noella. On the international front, Gulf leaders have met in Saudi Arabia to discuss a regional crisis triggered by the United States-Israel war on Iran. This is their first in-person meeting since the outbreak of the conflict 2 months ago. Among those in attendance were Kuwaiti Crown Prince Sheikh Sabah Al Khaled Al Hamad Al Sabah, Bahrain's King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, and Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani.
And on that note, we want to say a big thank you to Portia Alban. What would you want to be? That's it for News 360. Thanks for watching. My name is Martin Esiedudate.
And I am Portia Gabodu. Join Beatrice Edu at 9 p.m. Agenda. Ghana Tonight with Alfredo Kanse is at 10. Good evening.